All right, Shalom. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles at Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. Salutations to you brothers, you confusion of face brothers, who may appear to look like the heathen nations, but are actually Israelites. To you, I say Shalom. Call halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Barakatham, to the sincere and the hopeful elect. And this is out of the Wall Street Journal. U.S. military preparing for a full withdrawal of its forces from Syria. And I'm going to tell you why that's bullshit. So it says, move throws campaign against Islamic State into question. All right. U.S. officials began informing partners in northeastern Syria of their plans to begin immediately pulling American forces out of the region. Northeast Syria is the hottest zone, right, of warfare for Syria. So why would they move everybody out? Really, they're moving them soldiers out of the way to really get the spirit stirred up, man. Really what they're doing is they're going to try to move everybody out of the way, right? So they can set up what's really going to go down, man. The U.S. military is preparing to withdraw its forces from Syria. People familiar with the matter said Wednesday, a move that marks an abrupt reversal of the American military strategy in the Middle East. And of course, they love pulling the okie doke. What did they say about Iraq? We're leaving Iraq. Are there not still American soldiers in Iraq today? Yes, there are. There will always be Esau somewhere, man. Talking about they're going to pull out all the soldiers. They may do that in order to set up, the chessboard for warfare, U.S. officials began informing partners in northeastern Syria of their plans to begin an immediate pullout of American forces from the region where they have been trying to wrap up the campaign against Islamic State, people say. The Pentagon has an order to move troops out of Syria as quick as possible, a U.S. official says. So we don't know who this U.S. official is. And the order came from the Pentagon, or the Pentagon has an order. So where did they get the order from? Right. A pullout of Syria is still widely opposed by top officials in the White House and the Pentagon, and U.S. military officials have refused to say what a withdrawal could look like. See, because the thing is, the reason why they don't want to all pull out at once, that's gonna have indicators of panic. See, if you were to, let's just say that somebody was to rob your house, right? And they have a hammer. And they break your window, right? They break your window and then they disappear. What are you gonna do? Let's say let's say you're sitting in your living room. You look to your left, and a motherfucker with a hammer just breaks through your just breaks through your window and runs. What you gonna do? You're not gonna sit there. You're gonna be like, fuck, he's gonna come back, right? So that's exactly what they're doing. The U.S. military, right, is leaving Syria so that they can come back with an even bigger force. Okay, that's exactly, and that's why I said that, because if the robber didn't know you were home, he would have brought more weapons. Right, so Esau don't have enough manpower or weapons in Syria in order to really do damage. So what they figure is, okay, we'll withdraw and then we'll come back in hot and heavy, man. So everybody believing that Syria is gonna get left alone, you're a fucking fool, man. It says, but DJ Trump wrote on Twitter Wednesday morning that we have defeated ISIS in Syria. My only reason for being there during the presidency. Spokesman Sarah Sanders said Wednesday that the U.S. has already begun pulling troops out of Syria as we transition to the next phase of this campaign. And what's the next phase, man? The next phase is ultimate warfare. This current warfare was just proxy wars, a couple guys dying here and there, a contractor die here or there. But the next amount of warfare in Syria is going to be a fucking bloodbath. And it already was, the Aleppo, all right? Not only the battles in Aleppo, but in other places in Syria. I can't really think of, Damascus. Damascus was messed up. But basically all of Syria, right? Because Syria biblically is a very important land. That's why it's getting fucked up so bad. Because it's very important in this story. It says a White House official said the U.S. forces will continue the fight against ISIS, and added that the U.S. Would also use tools of national power, including economic sanctions and diplomatic pressure, to combat the influence of Iran in the region. Iran knows the U.S. stands ready to re-engage at all levels to defend American interests. So, really, Iran knows something too. Iran knows, hey, these guys are withdrawn for a reason. Because it happened with them, right? They'll go to attack, and they'll draw back. Okay, we need a better plan. That's what happened in Kuwait. That's what happened in Iraq, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. Okay? All over the damn place. It says, the move follows a call last week between Mr. Trump and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, right? And Turkey is a secret enemy of America also. America claims to be allies with Turkey. A lot of Air Force bases are in Turkey, right? Yet Turkey is in the EU, right? Turkey really is the gateway to Europe. You know what I mean? So a lot of Turkish people, right, are Edomites. A lot of you Turks are Edomites, man. So Esau working together on all levels, man, all the houses, and it says, who has threatened to launch an assault on America's Kurdish partners in Syria, right? Because a lot of those Kurds, right? A lot of them are Ishmaelites, but some of those guys are Jakes, and that's why they're in the condition that they're in. They were brought as slaves, a lot of them. That's where you get the word Slav, like Yugoslavia and other things. A lot of those people were Jakes, right, that were taken to these places to serve. Right. And over time, they may have, like I said, some of them are Ishmaelites, but a certain number of them are Israelites. Right. So that's why you have a lot of those. That's why you have a lot of those people out there dying in such a way. Right. A lot of those people in Syria, like Aleppo and whatever you may have. A lot of those guys are Israelites, too. Now, not all of them, but there's a few select people out there, And that's why the Lord is working with a lot of those Kurds in those PYT or PYP forces and whatnot to battle these guys just long enough to hold them off. You see, because the Lord wants this warfare. Everything needs to play out in a certain way. It says Mr. Erdogan steadfastly opposed the American partnership with Kurdish forces in Syria. You see, because Erdogan, right, and Turkey, those are basically Edomites, man. So they don't want the Kurds to rise up in Syria and to keep the land, which they've basically been slaves to all their life. You know what I mean? It says in Syria that he views as a force intent on destabilizing Turkey. Yeah, I don't want to say the T word. But the U.S. has relied on the Kurdish forces as the most effective fighting force in Syria against IS, right? So a lot of those Jakes They've been using a lot of those Kurdish Jakes in order to push closer and closer, and that's how they took out IS's headquarters, right? They took out their headquarters with the help of the Kurds. And you're not going to have that sort of fighting force without a couple of Jakes in there, man. You know, and including the U.S. military. The best, some of the best operators on the planet are Jake. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't doubt that, you know, a couple of Navy SEALs know the truth. And they're Jakes, you know, and if you didn't know, when you're a special operations operator, you have the ability to keep your beard, to keep your facial hair. So I wouldn't doubt that there's at least a handful of Jake elite fighting forces that know the truth and are in this thing, you know what I mean? But because they are, you know, contractually obligated, you know, they're still fighting on Esau's side. You know what I mean? But a lot of these guys that are in these special operations units, they're starting to understand that they're Israelites, man. So the Lord is working with them, because how lucky are you to be able to keep your facial hair, right, and come into the truth, right, while also getting the most recent information. You know, some of the most smart people on the planet are the Israelites that are in the military, man. A lot of those Jakes are very wise, but because they're under the sway of Esau and his goodies, you know, he's paying for shit. He's paying for your car, you know, he's paying for your housing, you know, your education. You want to side with Esau, you see, and that's the problem. Esau has his hand on our people, man. Says the U.S. has long sought to reconcile the two seemingly incompatible goals that the president has sought in Syria. On the one hand, DJ Trump has pushed to withdraw all U.S. forces from Syria, where more than 2,000 service members are working alongside Syrian militants to defeat IS. That number is more like probably about 5,000, because you got to factor in the contractors. Private contractors who were formerly military, right, are fighting alongside these service members through such companies such as Blackwater, which is now being changed to Academy, right? These guys are constantly changing up the names, but it's the same shit, man. And so, and the guy, I forgot his name, something Prince, who is the owner of Blackwater that got changed to Academy. He's a fucking Edomite. And that's why, for what he's done, man, and for the killing of a lot of those Jakes out in Syria, hey, you got judgment coming for you, man. And he already is getting judged. They already got his number, man. It says officially the U.S. military has no authority to battle Iran in Syria. You damn right. It says their mission has been to defeat IS and ensure the militant group that once controlled large swaths of Syria and Iraq is unable to regroup. And really, IS was just a distraction. They needed an opposition group to be in Syria so that they could go to Syria, so that they could set up this war. It says that task is largely complete. IS has been effectively cornered in a small stretch of Syrian territory, guess where? Along the Iraq border, where the U.S. military estimates about 2,000 fighters have managed to hold off complete defeat for months. Hey, man, that place is set up. How the hell are you going to have a place that's managed to hold off the U.S. military for months? Yeah, no. What are they doing over there? That place, that specific part of land is being preserved for the war. They need a way to stay close to Iraq, and they need a way to stay close to Iran. So what do? They get to that border, man, because there's going to be a lot of warfare in that specific area. Earlier this year, the Pentagon said that IS controlled less than 2% of the territory it once held in the Middle East, sparking a vow from DJ Trump to get all U.S. forces out of Syria in a matter of months. I'm going to try to do my best DJ Trump impression. We'll be coming out of Syria, like, very soon. He said in the spring. And that was my best impression, man, because that's exactly how he talks. He talks like this, like, you see, because he's an idiot. But really, Spirit of the Most High God is causing him to make these decisions, man. It says, I want to get out. I want to bring our troops back home. But the pullout also comes amid abiding worries about the continual influence of Iran in Syria. DJ Trump's national security team pushed back and persuaded the president to embrace an open-ended strategy that would make sure IS couldn't rise again, and use the military as leverage to force Iran to withdraw its forces from Syria, right? Because America isn't going to directly fight Iran. They're going to meet somewhere to fight, and where they have met to fight is Syria. It says the U.S. sent in diplomatic teams to help rebuild northeastern Syria, right? So in other words, they went and sent guys to an embassy threatening actions. They didn't send no diplomatic teams to help rebuild. How the hell are you going to rebuild northeastern Syria? It's destroyed. And it says set up new outposts on the country's border with Turkey. And what is Turkey? Turkey is the gate to Europe, right? Turkey literally is the gate to Europe. Like, if you're in Syria and you're battling in Syria, the only way to get to Europe, right, is through Turkey. You're going to have to go to Turkey, right? So it says, which views them as an effort to shield America's Kurdish partners from an attack by Turkish forces. Because Turkey, those Edomites, know that a lot of those Kurds, right, or a certain number of those Kurds are Israelites, and most of them are Ishmaelites, man. And Ishmael and Esau, even though they are buddies, they've been going head to head lately. It says, earlier this month, Mr. Erdogan moved Turkish military forces to the border and threatened to attack the Kurdish forces within days. It says, in recent weeks, the U.S. military has ramped up its strikes against suspected ISIS targets in the middle Euphrates River Valley in anticipation of a possible Turkish incursion into Syria that likely would pull U.S. ground partners off the anti-ISIS fight. Right? So that valley, right? That valley is the valley of decision, right? The valley of Jehoshaphat. And that's where a lot of this warfare is going to take place. Between December 2nd and 8th, now remember, that's only 6 days, the U.S.-led coalition launched 251 strikes. Now let's try to do the math. All right. So in 6 days, they managed to do 251 strikes. I mean, that is crazy. That is crazy, man. That's all. That's. I mean, that's 50. That's over 50 something. Over the course of how many? I mean, that's literally non-stop strikes. You know. It says almost all of those in Syria, paired with 90 the previous week. And this is the general, right? This is a general. He said, with regard to stabilization, we have a long way to go. And that's because he knows that it's never going to be stabilized, man. Yeah. So at one point, ISIS had a proclaimed capital, and I couldn't remember the name, but the city was named Raqqa, right? That's where ISIS, that was their headquarters, and they just got fucked up. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it's just talking about how the Kurds and the U.S. are working together, really out of necessity. Because the U.S. without the Kurdish, the U.S. are not going to understand the battlefield there. They're not going to understand the terrain. They're not going to understand the people, and you're going to need a representative in warfare, man. You always need somebody who knows about about the battlefield, man. It says the U.S. And I'm gonna go to the scriptures after I read these two paragraphs. The U.S. withdrawal will not only affect the fight against ISIS, but U.S. attempts to keep eyes on growing Iranian influence in Syria, right? Because once again, Iran is not going to have America come to them. They're gonna be in Syria trying to fight. Because if America gets too close to Iran, that's a problem. So Iran figures, hey, we'll go to Syria, we'll fight there. It says among the places U.S. troops are deployed was near the city of Al-Tanf, close to where Iranian-backed forces are also operated. Here's where he lied. General Joseph Votel said, "We don't have a counter-Iranian mission here. We have a defeat ISIS mission," which is a lie. They are, Babylon is counter-Iran. We already know that, man. He does, but listen to the devil. He does say a little truth. But I do recognize that our presence, our deployment of partners and relationships down here does have an indirect effect on some malign activities that Iran and their various proxies and surrogates would like to pursue down here. So Iran has proxies and surrogates. So why wouldn't America? Right? America obviously has proxies and surrogates. The negative impact on this decision, or of this decision, Zalakia, on America's credibility is hard to overstate. So they need to seek an accommodation with the Assad regime or face possible defeat by Turkey. Either one of those is not good. An uneasy peace will not emerge in Syria. The U.S. hands a victory to both. You know who they're giving a victory to, man. By abandoning the Syrian people to Assad, Iran, and Russia. Because remember, Russia is fighting in Syria too. All right? So, and a lot of them Russians are going to be there in the Valley of Decision also. All right. I'm going to go ahead and read this chapter right here and in the video. This is Psalms chapter 58, verse 1. Do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge uprightly, O sons of men? Yea, in heart ye work wickedness. Ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. All right, so the wicked are you Edomites, man. And ever since y'all were born, y'all estranged from the womb. So that means physically when y'all are born, but also the entire nation. Since y'all were incepted, nothing has gone right. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. Right? They are like the death adder that stoppeth her ear. And the poison, right? You gotta think about poison. What does poison do? If you've ever seen the videos, when they take snake poison and they drop it into the blood, it increases the viscosity of the blood, right? Which means that the blood gets so thick that it's not able to pump through your heart. That's how you die. And that's a lot how like Esau is. Esau, he fattens up your blood. He fattens you up, you know what I mean, with his words until you die, right? It starts off slow, just like when you get bit by a snake. Ow, that hurt. You know, and seconds after seconds, minute after minute, you know what I mean? Eventually you die, man. And that's how, and Esau has bitten all of us, right? But Yahweh Shem Yahushai has given some of us an antidote to take, you know, that has reversed the effects of Esau. And he can't stand that. It says, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. Break their teeth, O power, in their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions. And who are the young lions? The men in this word, man. Let them melt away as waters which run continually, right? So if you have let's say you have a water hose and the water's coming out of the water hose and you're putting the water on dirt and you notice that dirt is being blasted away continually. You know what I mean? That nothing is able to operate within that space, right? So they're going to melt away as the water which run continually. They're not even going to be able to grab onto anything. You understand? Like everything's going to be blasted away. Esau's going to be running left and right, but there's nothing that he's going to be able to grasp onto, man. Because those smooth words in the day of true calamity, those words are not going to, they're not going to sway the hopeful elect. You know what I mean? It says, when he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows, let them be as cut in pieces. So when those arrows are being shot, aka those missiles, right? Esau's going to be cut into pieces. As a snail which melteth, let every one of them pass away, like the untimely birth of a woman, that they may not see the sun. So when a woman has a stillbirth, the baby never, has life. The baby is born still. It didn't even take a breath and die. It just was born dead. And that's a lot how Esau is. Esau is born dead. As soon as he is born, he's dead. Spiritually, he's dead. And eventually, physically, he's going to be dead. Right? And another gem that the Lord is trying to show the elect, if you look here, right, it says, as a snail which melteth. And what is Esau regarded as? The snail, right? He's a sluggard. He's just a piece of shit. And what is the elect of Israel compared to? An ant, hardworking, dedicated, in unison, in order. You know, that's what we are. We're the ant, and Esau is the snail, right? But how does a snail melt? With salt, right? That's a little Easter egg, so to speak, that the Lord is showing us. Jacob is the salt of the earth, right? So as we sprinkle, we're the salt that's sprinkled on the snail, and the snail is gonna melt away, man. And the Lord reveals that unto His people, man. He reveals that we're the salt that's gonna be poured onto the snail. And I myself, I've never seen salt poured onto a snail. I didn't do that as a child. But I can imagine it don't look too good. It probably foams up. And then that's what Esau's going to do. As soon as them missiles hit, they're just going to consume away, man. It says, verse 9, before your pots can feel the thorns, he shall take them away as with a whirlwind, both living and in his wrath. That's also very important too. So we are like plants, right? Israel is like a plant. So as we sit in the pot to nurture, before we can feel any thorns, so before Esau really takes away the hopeful elect, right? He shall take them away as with a whirlwind, both living and in his wrath. So the living are the elect of Israel, who are going to be taken away in that whirlwind, which is that chariot. So in this time when all these nukes are going to go off, the Lord is going to save his people with the chariots, the living, right? And the Lord is going to destroy the heathen and Esau with his wrath, right? And it says, the righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance, because the elect are going to be in the chariots looking down upon the earth as it's getting judged, right? And it says, he shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked, so that a man shall say, verily, there is a reward for the righteous. So, you're going to be in the chariot. Oh, I can't believe it. We did what he asked us to do, and he saved us, So we're going to say there is a reward for what we've done, right? And we're going to praise Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai Ba'ashim Rakakwadash to the highest capacity, man. Everybody is going to be ecstatic that the pot that we grew up in, right, didn't feel the thorns, that we didn't feel the burn of death, right? Because Esau and the heathens are going to feel that burn of death. And it says here, verily there is a reward for the righteous. Verily, he is a power that judgeth the earth, or Salakia, that judgeth in the earth. So he was there the whole time, And surely there's a power that judge Esau, because we're gonna be praising Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, because the elect men know the power that has taken Esau away, man. And I give all praise, honor, and glory and reverence to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai Ba'ashim Rakakwadash for revealing that unto his servants, man. Day in and day out, everything's being revealed more and more. Esau is out of here, man. These heathens are out of here. We just got to continue in this word. Don't get physical. Continue to work. Continue to use this money as a defense and nothing more. Continue to try to edify your household. Continue to, hey, these women are out of order. Keep your wife in order. If you have wives, keep your wives in order as much as you can to your ability, because Satan is working on them too, man. But just realize that these prophecies are coming to pass, right? And one day, this place is going to be exactly how the Lord envisioned it to be. Let me just go ahead and get that really quick. 14. All right. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 14, verse 1. And I looked, and this was John. It says, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion. So Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, right, stood next to the elect. And with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads, right? So they have they have been given the joint, they are a joint heir of Hamashiach. You know what I mean? They're given the same powers as Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. Now, they're not exalted to the same capacity, right? Because we'll always be under him, But we are given the same powers, right? And it says, and I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of the harpers harping with their harps. So they were calling out, right? So the Lord was speaking, Yahweh Shai, right? And they heard the voices of the elect men calling out, call halal Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash, calling out Ba'ashim HaMashiach Yahushai, calling out Barakatha Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, and singing the Lord's praises, you see? And it says, and they sung as it were a new song before the throne, and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. Right? So you're gonna get that elect understanding, right? And it says, these are they which were not defiled with women. So those other philosophies, trying to be a Buddhist, trying to be a Muslim, whatever the case. For they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. So whatever the Lord says you're going with, that includes the FRID microchip is the mark of the beast, right? That includes NATO is one of the beasts, right? That includes the fact that the Lord came out of Judah, meaning that he was a so-called Negro. So wherever the word goes, that's where we go. Remember, because the Lord, not only was he a man, but he was the living word. He was perfect, right? So we will go with him wherever he goes. So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, and Kakwadash. Hopefully that was edifying. Shalom to the hopeful elect.